rights, and the court just ventilated that what the person was, what the visitor was resisting was in the confine of the Constitution, and they were all right.
Hold a second. Hold that thought. Hello, good morning.
Good morning, Christal. Sorry about that. Just in the semi thing making me nice just now. Let me ask a
That's all
question.
right. Me?
If we don't crisis, still listening in a crisis, is the government cannot go to court and go to parliament and make a law?
That's okay. You're asking in a crisis,
Yes.
can the government go and make
Going
laws?
again with the constitution?
The laws that are made in parliament should be in line with the constitution.
Constitution, right. That is what I'm saying.
Right. So yes.
That's the question. You're right. So when did this thing happen, this crisis, they went to court and they do that, right?
Okay, yes.
Okay. So I don't see how it couldn't come if the same in our constitution.
But what you said earlier makes sense, right? But you're defeating the purpose now, because the people who were infringed by what took place by the SRO, take them out to the court, and the court said that they're right.
The echo. Turn on the radio, please.
Yeah, turn it down.
Thank you.
Thank you. That question. If you go to court and you make a law with the constitution, I want to know what it is now legal. That's my point to make it.
Oh, okay. Now, the court has several functions. One of them is to ensure that whatever laws are passed are just. So, in this case here, what we are learning based on the ruling is that something went wrong somewhere, and the SRNO was not in line with the Constitution of St. Vincent and the Grenadines. So we're going to have to scrap that. And next time around, in the event of another pandemic or another health crisis, whatever you do, it cannot be along this line. So you can't do that. But you could do whatever else. All the other things that you had in place, you could do them. Wearing of the mask. Your public order, your gathering, public gathering. You could do that. You could do the other thing and the other thing. But in terms of people losing their jobs, you can't do that. That's basically what it means. Or one of the functions of the court. If people on the ground, two people, two entities, they cannot agree on a particular point, then they go to court and they trash it out. People listen to both sides of the argument to present the cases, whatever. And then the court decides. If you're going at the lower court, it's just one judge. If you're going higher than that and you don't agree, and there's a possibility for you to say, I don't agree. I don't like what you said, judge. You singular judge. Let's go to some other folks. Then you can go higher. But majority of the cases that are dealt with here, it's just one person saying, based on everything that you are presenting, this is my ruling. And that's part of the process. That is the function, or one of the functions, and that's how they play a role within our society. Can't come to an agreement, then you go to the court. She will tell you, or he will tell you, whether or not what was done was right, or what was done was wrong. Here we are today. Some of the responses coming in on the WhatsApp. Good morning. I believe that the government has the right to appeal, just as the union has the right to do so. Had they lost, they were planning to do so. Therefore, they are being hypocritical. All right, I'll move on. Somebody saying, I still have to wear a mask. There's some people who still wearing masks. Up to you, right? Your choice. Somebody saying, he ain't concerned about people or whether he wins back or not, because he done get what he wanted. Cost of living is so high, especially supermarket, them so expensive. Why you ain't get price control today with them and look at other things instead of pressure people? A point on the cost of goods. a lot of things are outside of our control because we import so many things. A lot of things are outside of our control. So I think sometimes the PM and the government is get blamed unjustly for some things.
I have a question I want to ask people there who have a wavering thoughts about the government should if the government should appeal. Let's say that when Esquire deliver her judgment, Dr. Gonsalves have a window of 14 days to appeal. Took that 14 days to consider the ins and outs and decide, man, I'm not going to appeal. I want to know what would be some of the commentary coming from the people today who say that Prime Minister should appeal.
Okay.
Let me tell you something else.
They might still hold on to that thought, or they might just say, okay, he's the leader. They know what they're doing. Okay.
Dr. Gonsalves is not any ordinary person. Dr. Gonsalves been practicing law for as long as I know myself. He was a lecturer. He's Prime Minister for 22 years. You know, think he understands the Constitution more than you and I?
So if that's the case, why are we in this position today?
Gonsalves is appealing for appealing's sake to prolong the pain for people because Rob Gonsalves as Prime Minister doesn't sit nice to the feet.
No. What I'm getting at is the thing that led us to this point. If, as you're saying, he understands the Constitution to a T. But taken to court on a law that was passed, which should have had in the background the Constitution, XYZ, you cannot go outside this, that, and
Exactly.
terror, right? And then the judge says that you made an error. If a call based on what you are saying, why was that put in place?
You know what the Prime Minister should do? He should go back into the details and find out who drafted this SR for him and fire them. Yeah, fire them. Because the Prime Minister understands Prime Ministership, he understands statesmanship, he understands when people are getting frustrated. And let me tell you something. In 2009, when Ralph Gonsalves came as Prime Minister and bring a proposed referendum to change the Constitution, people voted no. Dr. Gonsalves was defeated. When he brought the geothermal thing up there, that was a failure. He said it was a setback. Okay? This is a tall event that Dr. Gonsalves is overseen as Prime Minister. And the code say the person who drafted this SRN for you didn't do it with any confine and have a level of disrespect for our constitution, the code say they are wrong. Those are three things that Dr. Gonsalves will always remember. It's like Jomo Thomas.
The geothermal project though?
That was a setback. He said a setback. That was a failure.
Okay, so it didn't work out.
That's why it's called a failure. It's a proposal came from him as a failure.
Yeah, but it was a good idea though. Geothermal.
Appeal is a good idea, yeah. It's a good political idea to appeal the court decision. But it will one of these days the court will say that Esquire Henry was absolutely right. Only time alone will tell.
True. Going back to that geothermal thing, it's a good thing we only spend a little drop of money on it.
You remember? You remember we were sharp like a razor.
I interviewed I think he was the head at the time of the energy unit. At the time, Deacon, also at Deacon, he said the cost to the government was just over 600,000 US dollars. It wasn't a lot compared to the overall cost of it. So, I mean,
also it's for us to borrow other people's money.
No, it wasn't a borrow. It was it was a grant.
Bond.
Well, a lot of projects, it's not a matter of like just burning. It wasn't something that was done on purpose. It was done with the intention of reducing the overall energy costs. St. Vincent and Grenadines, we had last refer up there. There was a possibility. If you check out Guadeloupe has a geothermal project that is working for them. And we could have had the same thing here too, but it just didn't work out.
You can remember you asking Mr. Deacon if that ideal location was the best, how we should go to North Leon?
I can't remember
Oh, you
the
can't
question,
remember
and I
that.
cannot remember the answer
Okay, well, I
either.
could remember
I
the
think,
answer.
yeah, it came up. Of course, it came up
Of course.
on the leeward side. And then
Was
I remember asking him
what,
about solar panels too.
what was more feasible on the news. So that is why I said to the Prime Minister and NBC Radio that the geothermal proposal, according to him, he says a setback, I say a failure. Okay?
We could always do a part two.
And Dr. Gonzalez don't sit fairly good to failure.
Nobody
right?
likes to lose. Who likes to
Okay,
lose?
yeah, right, okay, right. So we are admitting that this appeal is because it gets
Who's we?
the people public is say that Dr. Gonzalez is appealing because he don't want his pride and ego to be
I am part of the
bruised.
Vincentian Public, and I speak for myself. Eh?
He don't want to be bruised, but it's all up to time, Christal. It's time. It's time.
Well, we'll see how it plays out.
Yeah, it's
We will
time.
see how it play
Yeah,
out.
it's time.
But it will play out according to the law of SVG.
Of course.
You're right.
And the judges are onto something good. Congratulations.
This is not
SIA.
something good because it is in your favor. If she had ruled differently,
I will support her any way she took
nah,
initiative.
I don't believe that.
Any way she took
I don't believe
initiative.
that.
You know why?
I don't believe that.
Because I believe, Christal, that she's highly trained. I believe she's have a nice subconscious mind and understand the people of the Caribbean. And you know, Christal, when a judge
She would have been dragged in the mud.
when a judge decided to rule like how Justice Henry ruled, you know, it took some time, you know.
Calls coming through. Hello, good morning. Your friend. Hello, good morning.
Morning, Christal. Good morning, Kingsley.
Hey.
Morning.
Yeah.
You know, you said something about it, Kingsley, and I paid attention to it. And it very much encapsulates the position of the government and many of us when we said that the constitutional reform was made political. You know what you said? You said Dr. Gonzalez brought the constitution and Dr. Gonzalez was defeated. As far as I'm aware, this was supposed to be an exercise in constitutional reform, and it was the constitution, the proposed constitution that got defeated. But because it was made such a political football by those who are politically minded, individuals like yourself run years after and say, yes, beat Dr. Gonzalez, he failed. Well, you know something? It wasn't a defeat for Dr. Gonzalez. It was a defeat of the proposed constitution. And I like the point that Christal, you're outlining failures. That's a failure, according to you. And the geothermal, it seems like you're rejoicing. It failed. Here is St. Vincent the Grenadines, like Dominica is doing, like other countries have done, exploring sources of energy. During the pandemic, bills went high. Because what? We import our oil that we use for energy. And once oil prices go up, people pay more. And so the idea of the government was, let's explore a clean source of energy that's renewable, that can reduce people's energy bills. The consultants came, the consultants showed the site, they did their work and so on. But at the end of the day, there were some challenges. Kingsley comes to radio, it's a failure. He'll go down and think for failure. There seems to be no consideration of, well, the government, like Christal is saying, explored a source of energy that would make us more competitive and lower the cost of consumers' energy bills. No, Kingsley is looking for failures because it's about Dr. Gonzalez. He failed, not the country, not the process. Dr. Gonzalez failed. With the constitution, it's Dr. Gonzalez who failed. And with this case, clearly, Esco Henry is infallible. So Dr. Gonzalez is wrong and he should fire him and fire that because there's no way Justice Henry could be wrong, according to Kingsley. So that's another failure for Dr. Gonzalez. You see, the beauty about our court system is that it allows that. When the NDP brought vexatious motions after the elections in 2010, they came to the court. They wait until the last date to file an appeal and so forth. Because that's the system that we have. You bring out a motion, you bring a constitutional motion, a judge hears about it, and either way, you are allowed to appeal. I do not agree with Kingsley that Dr. Gonzalez is appealing to prolong the pain of anybody, because there are those of us who would like to see what's going on. You see, it's not just those individuals who are deemed to have abandoned the jobs who are affected. All of us are affected. Because I believe the majority of intentions, or at least the majority of us who took the vaccine, did so because we believe that this was a reasonable position taken by the government. And so that's why we took the vaccine. A number of us, and it may be a majority, it may be a minority, but I believe, and many I've come into contact with, believe that at the time when we were facing a pandemic where people were dying, that the claiming and the exercising of individual rights, my body, my choice, was an unreasonable position at a time when we needed to show social solidarity and cooperation, collective responsibility, because we understood that your actions affected me and my actions affected you. That's why we wore masks. That's why we sanitized, because we know we were in a situation where things were transferred back and forth. And many of us are asking, how could that have been wrong? How could a judge in all reasonableness say that it was completely wrong to require the mandate to protect lives and livelihoods? We may not understand it, we may disagree with, but it's the judge's decision. And we're saying, well, you know what? Let's carry it to a panel of judges and hear what this panel of judges of a higher court says. They may agree with Esco Henry, like you do, Kingsley. Or they may agree with the lawyers, with the government side and Dr. Gonzalez, that the judge erred, the judge made errors. Because we are all humans and we do that, and we have subjective impulses. We do. But this thing about appealing to prolong the pain of people, Dr. Gonzalez is not a prime minister who will fix pain or prolong pain. This is the prime minister who eases pain. The prime minister who has built houses for people whose houses have been damaged. We've had disasters in this country before where houses were damaged. And I can tell you in 17 years, the NDP did not rebuild a single house of person. When the NDP was building the cruise ship boat, they went up, they valued what the people lived in, and just give them money. Some man drink and drunk and whatever, and spend the money. Some went down to bottom tongue and just build up another shack. This government in building the port built brand new homes for people in Camden Park. This government is not a government that inflicts pain. And anybody who says to me, including you, Kingsley, that the requirement of 2020, where vaccines were concerned, 2021, where vaccines were concerned, for frontline workers, was unreasonable and instituted to inflict pain and suffering, I would question their logic and the way they're analyzing that. Because clearly, all the government was talking about, all the health workers were talking about, countries across the world were saying, we need to protect ourselves. We need to get to herd immunity because this disease is killing people.
Do you think what
So
do you think what took place in some of the SRNO would be used as a model in the Caribbean? Sian?
Well, I tell you something. There was a case in New York, I believe, and the claimants won because in New York the hospitals and so on had mandatory vaccination, and some individuals took the classes of the court and so on, and they won. And the reason they won, according to the judge, was because there were no allowances for exception. In St. Vincent and the Grenadines, the requirement for the vaccine requirement, allowed for exceptions on medical reasons and on religious reasons. And individuals applying for those exceptions, once they brought the evidence, they were granted the exception. But the idea was that if you're a able-bodied individual with no condition, religious or medical, that prevents you from taking the vaccine, them as a protective measure for all of us. I mean, imagine you being sick with tuberculosis and you going into the studio with Christal and you're telling Christal you ain't taking no tablets, but you come into it because it's your body, your choice. And if Jules says to you, Kingsley, well, you gotta go home and we can't pay you for as long as you stay home, you won't take Jules to court because so he doesn't have a responsibility to protect Christal. And he went to say that the reason why he told you to go home and go home without pay is because he wants to increase your suffering. So what about you and your actions? I think we can have this discussion, Kingsley. We should have this discussion. But I want us to try and remove all of the hype and the triggers and so forth and really get down to the meat of the matter where we talk to people and talk to organizations public about what occurred. Let's not point any fingers and disrespect the judge and her ruling. We may disagree, but let's not disrespect the judge and her ruling. Respect the judge, respect the law judge, and we understand that that ruling was made and there's a system in our courts that allows for an appeal.
But
and let's not get into the wicked and the this and that and so on. Because clearly,
I'm hoping, Sian, that one of these days that you and I might be alive to see if somebody who is vying to become a lawyer use this case in its thesis to explain the reference point that took place in Simulation again, when some people felt that their rights was infringed on. And you will have that experience one of these days, okay? Because you
absolutely. I'm sure that this case, Kingsley, as it goes to appeal and possibly to the Privy Council, will be used as precedent. I'm telling you.
Definitely.
Either way, it will be for the region and for the Commonwealth. So I guess that is why also we need to allow it to take its course, because not just Vincentians, but people in the region would like to see how this would end up.
Yes.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
I agree that with you, with that part that it will be a reference point somewhere in the future where we will use this.
Absolutely.
Yes. So we agree on something here.
Listen, lawyers, and if you're saying in this wasn't that in the lower court said so and so and so and so. They were, that's all I want.
And
that's all I want.
I often wonder why that you think that Jumo has that level of influence. You put it on over to Esco here. Yes, she has some level of influence because in this matter she is right.
Well, I mean, in this matter, I would say this. In this matter, she has rules, right? I cannot, and will not say she's right because a higher court has not ruled on her judgment.
Okay.
And ultimately, it is only a higher court that will determine whether or not she was right. Not Jomo, not you, not anybody, but a higher court. That's simple as that. So you agree with her ruling, and that's fine.
I'm confident.
But in terms of, well, that's fine. Yes. So if you're confident, why the appeal stop?
For people to go back to their work, I want to ease that pain and suffering.
No, but there's the point. Kingsley. There's also process.
I respect the process.
But don't forget, Kingsley. Don't forget, and I'm glad you mentioned that. Don't forget that Dr. Gonzalez had said that individuals can go back to and reapply for the jobs. So they have had the opportunity a long time ago, and others have gone back to work. So whether or not the case's appeal has nothing to do with individuals reapplying and getting back position. Nothing whatsoever. So I'm glad you mentioned that.
Yes.
So the two are not mutually exclusive. The two can happen at the same time. You can reapply for a job.
Yes.
While you continue
while we
appeal.
Right. Okay. Right.
Yeah, so the appeal is, and Dr. Gonzalez was saying that a long time. He said, go ahead with the case. Go through with the case, but apply for a job.
Yes.
And people did. And people got reapplied. People got them rehired. So don't go out there, please, Kingsley, please. That's one thing I'm begging you. Don't go out there.
Don't forget you have to leave 2 minutes for your friend to respond to your needs, Kingston.
That's fine. No. When we talk about it, it's just kidding out. So that's all right.
Before you go, just to add, luckily the sanitation workers didn't have to go through this kind of process. They just got back their jobs. Oli. So luckily for them.
Do you know the public health workers are workers who get regular medical checks at the expense of the state? So they
yes, I recall that.
Absolutely.
But they were
you know,
part of the
Christal,
first
that's
list.
the case.
But I just remember, they didn't have to go
No,
through
I
all
think they
of
were
this.
removed. I think they were removed. I think they were removed.
Yeah.
So like
Nobody
let,
wanted to work.
let let us say,
Uh,
please, that don't ever, please let's not continue the narrative that, oh, we need to end the appeal so that people could get back their jobs. No. That position was available even while the case was being heard. Look, go ahead with the case, but apply for your jobs. Some people chose not to. They chose to prolong their own suffering. That is the way I see it. Some may agree
you're
with me,
admitting that
but that's how I see it.
you're admitting they're suffering. That's good. Okay. You have a
But
wonderful
no, but if you left your work and you walk away from your work without a job, I don't expect you to be living the same way that you was if you were working. But that's your choice. In my view, that's your choice.
That's really cool.
Have a good one.
Have
All
a good
right.
one. Thanks for calling,
Yeah.
Sian.
You take
All right,
care.
okay.
All right.
All right.
Bye.
4579997. Let me see if that
We have five minutes
Oh,
left,
okay.
or 4 minutes. Let me
Oh,
read
shit.
some. Boy. I'm sorry from top go down. If Judge Henry's ruling was not in favor of the civil servants, do you think that they would have appealed the decision, or should they? European countries that experienced the pandemic years ago closed their borders. 500 million people fell ill during the influenza pandemic of 1918 to 1990. 50 million people died. Over 500,000 people died in the US. COVID-19 pandemic is much worse. What I couldn't understand with the unvaxxed is they were wearing masks during the protests. What were they afraid of?
Dying.
I would like to point out to Kingsley that WD-39 was also a failure until the present WD-40, hence its name.
At least we have some good
I
listeners.
I thought when he was going WD, I thought it was something else. I thought it was like,
we
you know.
have some really good listeners. Yeah. Thanks for listening.
Oh, jeez. Kingsley, don't sit there and make it seem like all those people didn't take the vaccine because they weren't sure about it. Some of those same people were shouting, "Mina take Ralph vaccine." Don't forget the union leader who gave a political agenda was telling them not to take the vaccine, and at the same time he took it. Kingsley, did you listen to Burns last week to know what he didn't say about the ruling? Sorry, I can't feel sorry for people that put themselves in that position by listening to people who are not doctors and scientists telling me not to take a vaccine and lose my job when I have my family to feed and bills to pay. All of a sudden, people worrying about what's in the vaccine. They weren't worrying about what's in other vaccines and medications they've been taking before. I support every leader 100% in the world that put the vaccine mandate in place. The Philippines leader said take it or go to jail if you refuse. Uh, he wouldn't again with the judge decision. He still would have said different. Let's go down some more. The court ruling is personal
How to come personal?
to you. And there's a comment because next time around, people will use the same ruling and go against it. So more people will be out of the job.
Amazing how people think, eh?
Here's another one. Good morning. Once the law is not properly constructed, anything that follows the law is not legal.
That's according to the code.
That's a comment coming in there. A voice note here. I'm scrolling down to, but we don't have enough time to play it because I have to send it. Yeah, I'm very sorry about that. All right, that's about 2 minutes long, so we have 1 minute and 10 seconds left. Kingsley, Christal just laid out a point as to why the government may have done what they did. And you who oppose what the government did, all he could have responded to her with was who asked for the job. I disagreed with the government's decision also, so I'm here waiting to hear you counter that. And that was all you had. I guess he expected you to give a bit more points.
Yeah, but sometimes, Crystal, because of the platform, and you can't use certain things, you can't say certain things, Remember it have see and just you're just waiting for me to make a mistake to call me dishonest, So I remind myself that every day.
Okay. All right. We got a few seconds left before we wrap things up.
Well, it's time for me to take my 2 step out of here and get out of here. I have something to go and do, Christal. I tell you what, it is having the better part of me these days. I'm not 100% functioning because I did it. So I'll enjoy all of it. See you all tonight right here at WEFM.
All right. Thank you very much. Somebody's asking if they question what's in the blue pill.
I don't know. I don't know.
What is a blue pill?
I don't know.
Goodbye.